Okay, I've been meaning to do this for a little bit, and I've got a whack of harps that are pending, but I need a break, and I think I'm going to quickly, well, not quickly, but I'm going to work on one for myself. This was a nail, probably a 9-inch nail, 8-inch nail, that was found camping by my wife, and she said, hey, maybe you can make a harp out of that. And I thought, while we're using old rusty materials, here's an old bandsaw blade that I'm going to try for the reed. So it's time to start that. We'll see how this experiment goes. This was also inspired by Sean Jones, who made some harps out of some antique nails. I managed to get my hands on one of those, and it's just a beautiful harp, one of my absolute favorites in my collection. And we'll see what I can do. All right. Well, off to a good start. I wasn't actually even intending to really do much yet, but cut the head off the nail and got her shined up just with a wire brush. And then I used some tin snips and cut the blade, or the teeth, off the hacksaw blade. And then my bench grinder to give it a bit of a taper. And I decided I want to keep the end of the hacksaw blade as the tail. I think that's going to be cool. So we'll see. I might have to, I don't know. We'll see. That's a good start though. All right, I'm going to call it quits for tonight, but I made some pretty good progress. It was hard, but I got this bent. I figured using a torch would help, and it didn't. But I managed to cold bend it around this thing, and using a kind of a piece of pipe for some leverage, and then I started filing out the decks here, shaping it. It's pretty rough. Still got to kind of clean it up a little bit and get the deck surfaces nice and square and flat. But overall, good progress. Didn't do anything with the reed today. Just leaving it. And it's time to go to bed. Adios. And here is tonight's progress. Did some contouring and shaping and filing and a bit of finishing and cleaning. And I think I might have myself a frame here. So the next step is going to be working the reed a little bit to give it some shape. My intention again is I want to keep this part of the tail. So I'm going to probably have to shorten it a bit and give it a much more of a taper, because I've been finding that this is a lot harder to bend and tweak. So I'm going to try and fit the reed more to the frame than the other way around, which is what I typically do with my bent frame ones. But being a nail, I think it's time to maybe give a little hootenanny on the one that inspired it, my Sean Jones antique nail. Just a beautiful harp. He made this from an antique nail they picked up at a, I guess, antique store or something. Made a few harps out of it, and I picked one of them up. It's an E. I don't know what I'm trying to do there, and I'm kind of tired. Let's just call her quits after this. Good night. Adios. I have now worked the reed a bit, adjusted the taper. I ground an edge into it on the side. Used a honing stone there and sharpened it. And some fine sandpaper to make everything shiny. Clean this guy up a little bit. It's about as shiny as I'm going to get it as well. And hopefully I don't have to make too many adjustments and chew it up with the tooling marks and have to clean that up again, but we'll see. And what I do is I like to lay out where the reed's going to go and mark it. And then I'm going to use a triangular file for the reed channel, getting about halfway down. And we'll go for the main alignment before I crimp the reed in. Overall, I'm pretty happy. I've never actually built a harp this way using a nail or a round stock or anything. I've always used the key stock, the square stuff. So it's been interesting, but I'm pretty happy. Not perfectly even all around, but it's kind of the charm of it, isn't it? Okay, day whatever it is. I just did the crimp. I filed out the reed channel and did the crimp. Got it aligned pretty good. Pretty happy with these gaps. As you can see from the fresh tool marks all over, it gave me quite a bit of trouble. So now the painstaking process of trying to file out my mistakes here as best I can. Otherwise, I'm pretty happy. Fairly even and pretty tight. I tried. We'll see what's needed after I bend the trigger. All right, here's where we're at. I have fixed up the alignment. I think it's pretty good. In the process, I put some tooling marks into it that I started filing out and realized that as I got halfway, I kind of like the look of it. Try to still clean up the embouchure area as much as possible. And I am getting ready to bend the trigger. So I figured I would film this part. So the first thing I do is I make sure that I clamp it down to my board there as a reminder with the crimp to be facing down. The reason for that is because I like to design my harps for outward play, and I put the crimp on the back side for that reason. My theory is that the force is in this direction, meaning the pressure on the reed is against the flat portion of the frame as opposed to these little wings that are covering it on the crimp side. So if you're striking it in this direction, which I believe is going to be the heavier force on it, my opinion, it just helps keep the longevity of the reed going. So I do it. Makes me unique as well. I just give it a little clamp to hold it. And then it's torch time. So I might, let's move right here. All right, sip of coffee for good luck. Gotta get my pliers ready. I have these special angled pliers that I like. I'm aiming for kind of a mid to high pitch. And this striker is garbage. There we go. I used to be real nervous doing this part when I first started, but now I've got confidence. I've also found that the metal can be quite forgiving if you know how to respect it and work with it. I'll go with that for a minute. Not a bad teardrop, but I want to kind of roll it on this one for a loop. There we go. All right, let's leave it at that for now. Let's check it out. It's a little bulky now, but I intend to shape it. And I was a little bit concerned about the angle there, but well, it might not be too bad. Let it cool down and find out. All right, I've decided I'm going to redo the trigger. It is a little big and bulky, and it's not the prettiest. And the reed doesn't just quite ring away when you just give it a dry pluck. And I just want to see what happens if I bring up the tone a little bit more. We'll see. Let's just try it out. Okay, as you can see, I've cleaned up the trigger a little bit. I polished it with sandpaper, 1000 grit sandpaper. So it's nice and smooth. I haven't actually played it yet, so this is going to be a surprise to all of us. I just oiled it back up and we'll see how she plays. But I'll let you know what I mean by it doesn't really ring out dry, and that's, see? It's got just a bit more natural, I don't know, I won't call it resonance, but the other one didn't quite have that to it. So this, it feels like it's vibrating a little bit better. So let's give her a whirl. Ooh. Yep, that is going to be where it stays, I think. And Google named this Reptile for me, so this is Reptile.